Hello, avid readers. I am so excited to be here with my friend Kimberley Woodhouse. So welcome, Kim.
Hi. Thanks for having me again.
I always love talking to you. I love talking about your books. But for those who may not be familiar, although I don't know who, but maybe someone out there has heard of you or read your book. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, let's see. Now, I just celebrated my 31st anniversary with
Congratulations.
my amazing husband. And yes, that makes me over 31.
Yeah.
So, do you remember the days when we thought 30 was old?
Yeah, I've been married almost 33 years, so
Yeah.
I'm right up there with you.
It's like, really? How did this happen? But
But we
I
still look like we're in our 30s, right?
of course, yeah, you probably more than me. You're cuter than I am. I have two amazing kids who are both married, and I have a grandbaby.
Yes.
Which is just the best thing ever. Everybody's always said that, but they are. Grandbabies are the best thing ever. And let's see, I just turned in my 35th book, 36th. I don't know.
Something like that.
And so I love to write. I love story. I love historicals with suspense. A lot of my books are that. A lot of my books are set in Alaska because we lived in Alaska, and it's just a passion of mine. And then I also love contemporary suspense, which I have several of those and some coming out this year. So I guess that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, and what I love is you often have the multiple points of view, but you also have like the villain's point of view in your book, which is super fun. But you don't give too much away. Like, you know, they're up to something, but you have to it's not like, oh, this and this is going to happen. You know, they're up to something, but you don't know exactly, which happens in A Mark of Grace. So hold it up. You have it there in hardback. Here it's, and the cover is gorgeous. I love it so much. And I have the audiobook. I finished it this morning. I only had like 30 minutes left, so I finished it this morning. And it was so fun. We got familiar characters are there from the previous books, deeper into Ruth's story and Frank's story, and they're at the Grand Canyon and the Harvey girls. So for those who may not be familiar with the Harvey girls, and explain a little bit about it. And it was in 1909, right? Is that when the book takes place, 1909? Yeah.
It was 1909, yes.
So tell us about the Harvey girls and what was happening at the Grand Canyon.
Okay. Fred Harvey is who we attribute everything about the restaurant industry to today. And actually, they say that he was also the founder of modern day marketing. Just a brilliant, brilliant man. And he left an incredible legacy. But the Harvey girls, the Harvey houses had been around for quite a while by the time Altovar came to be. And he had coordinated with the railroad to have the Harvey houses along the railroad to feed people, give them exceptional service. They would have an elaborate meal, and everything would happen in 45 minutes, and it would be perfect. And they would have huge pieces of pie, and then they get back on the train and go to their destination. Well, the Altovar was the crown jewel of the Harvey Empire, and he did a deal with the railroad once again to put this hotel on the very rim of the Grand Canyon. And when the train came in, because the train used to come way south, and they didn't have a spur to the Grand Canyon yet. So it was like a 12-hour stagecoach ride to get to the Grand Canyon. So they finished the railroad, and then they built this hotel, and the railroad stopped right there at the Altovar, which was on the rim. So the Harvey girls who worked at the Altovar were the cream of the crop, the best of the best. They had been Harvey girls for a long time. They were very experienced. This was a huge privilege for them to be there. And so I just thought it would be so much fun to bring all of this to life and at the Grand Canyon. And to throw the mystery and fun and suspense in there.
And the trouble. There's lots of trouble that is happening in the book. And okay, so I love Ruth, and she's a Harvey girl. And previously, so I'm trying to can't give too much away if they haven't read the other books, but previously she had a life-impacting injury. And so then we get to see how this impacts her life, which it impacts her life a lot. It impacts her moods a lot, her faith a lot, her friendships a lot, her seeing herself as valuable a lot in this book. And so you see this person who everyone around adores her, loves her, thinks she's amazing, but she has a lot of self-doubts in this book. And so I love how you carry her story. So your books are always great about, there's the conflict. There's always, this is happening and that's happening, and there's trouble and there's problems, but the spiritual arc and the internal struggles are just as real as the external struggles. So that's what I love about your books. And so you really see that in her character. And I think all of us can relate to a little bit of Ruth. Like, life isn't really turned out like we planned, and there's bad things happen to good people. And it's so funny because I'm reading through the book of Job, and you mentioned Job in the book, Job from the Bible, and I'm like, I just read that. But why was it so important to share Ruth's story in this way and see her, like, that emotional arc and that spiritual arc as we go along with this book?
I think it's a God thing, how it just happened, and how I had planned it out originally, 3 books, and it was planned out in 2008, 2009.
Oh, wow.
And I finally had time, and fit it into the schedule and talked to the publisher, and was like, now's the time. And so we did it. And A Deep Divide is book 1. And Ruth is very much instrumental in all 3 books.
Mm-hmm.
She is the head waitress. And so she's the mentor. She's the guide. She's the one who also has to scold them. She's the mother hen. She always has all the answers. Her life is always pretty much put together. And everybody just loved her. So ever since A Deep Divide came out, I've had reader after reader after reader just say, I can't wait to read Ruth's story. Is that a story coming? It's like, yes, she's the last book. And, and in book 2, the heroine, she was really a unique character. That's a gem of truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I had her have traumatic experiences early in life, which made her become a liar.
She's a little fibber.
To cope, that's her coping mechanism. That's how she gets attention and all of this. And Ruth really pours into her, just like she pours into the other girls and the stuff in book 1. Well, at the end of book 2, again, don't want to give it all away, but there's a huge sacrifice moment. Mm-hmm. And there's a big moment with Ruth. And so we catch up with Ruth at the beginning of book 3, when all of this stuff has happened. She's in her mid-30s, which back then is old.
Yeah.
And, spinster. And she's thinking, okay, did I miss out on everything in life? And now look at me, what's going to happen to me now that this has happened? And so all of the doubts and everything, come crashing in. And she has a crisis of faith. Mm-hmm. She has a crisis of emotion. She has, I think, every crisis there is. Yeah. Physically. Yeah. In her job, professionally, everything is literally crumbling. And she's got to figure out, okay, everything that I have spouted off, right, and poured into and mentored into all these girls over the years.
And her dreams that she wanted, her big dreams, they just,
So none of this was false. It's just she has to learn how to apply it herself. So I think of it, I'm just going to share something personally. For me, I wrote this story in our story, Welcome Home, after Extreme Makeover happened, that I'm a pastor's kid. I'm a pastor's wife. I grew up in my Christian bubble, wonderful church, wonderful family, studying scripture. I've always just had this huge love for Bible study, memorizing scripture, all of this. So then we have kids, and our daughter, we're on our way home from a doctor's appointment when she's finally diagnosed. She has a rare nerve disorder, and it had taken years to get to this point. And I had been working on my memory verses. You know where this is, Trisha, because this was in Arkansas. We were driving up to Little Rock Children's Hospital. Yeah. And on the way there, I'm working on James 1-2-4. I was actually working on like the whole passage, but James 1-2-4 are my favorite verses. And so proud of myself, right? Memorizing scripture, Yeah. And then on the way home, after we have this diagnosis, and it wasn't a devastating diagnosis, it was just life altering in the fact that, okay, our child has to live with this for the rest of her life. We have to raise her and try to keep her safe with this diagnosis for the rest of her life, And as a mom, I'm like sobbing and thinking, oh, how are we going to deal with this? My poor child, it's a mom thing. Yeah. And my husband, Mr. Black and White, as he's so hilarious. And he looked at me and goes, "So, what were those verses you were working on earlier?"
Of course, of course.
So the whole point of that is to show that I knew them, right?
Mm-hmm.
The head knowledge that so much of us have. Ruth had experience and she had head and heart knowledge before, but she'd been pouring it out, helping others. I don't think she'd had to apply it to her life, kind of like I
Right.
had to
Yeah.
apply those verses to my life and learn how to navigate the trials with joy. And so Ruth has that same growth in the book. Like, how do I do this? I can tell everybody else how to do it, but how do I? How do I do this?
Yeah, it's so easy to tell everyone all things will work together for good, or whatever it is. All the things.
Little cliches, yes.
Yeah, but then it goes to, I was just at the Children's Hospital today with my 19-year-old. It was an autoimmune disease. It's had it since we adopted her. Yeah, and I never, until you have a child that, like, this is a life thing. Like, she's going to basically age out. She's almost 20 of the Children's Hospital, but it's like, now they're at the age of, like, trying to figure out, they have to take care of themselves. Like, your daughter has to figure out how to take, and it's the hardest thing. Like, stuff can happen to us. I don't know, it's easier than our kids, but it's those moments where I have no control. I can't fix this. Ruth's going to fix the things that were happening. She was trying to fix the things that were happening to her. That didn't go out too well when she tried to fix those things, but it is in those hard moments, whether it's the loss of someone we love, these illnesses in our children, the loss of our homes, whatever it is those moments where we get to discover those things for ourselves. And I love that her arc is just so beautiful. So all the dangerous stuff is going on, but the heart is there. And I think each person can relate, because each of us, if we've lived any time on this world, we have faced really hard stuff.
Yeah, everybody, whenever I speak, and because everybody knows that our thing is joy through trial. So when people come and ask us to share our story, it's easy for people to say, "Oh, you've been through so much." And it's like, no, every single one of us has to go through junk. So I don't want anybody to ever think that what I've gone through is any worse than anything. It's not a competition, right?
Right.
We are all going through this journey, and it's tough. It's not going to be easy. But God's joy is always there. And I think that's the point, is for us to learn to cling to that, learning that, you can't blame the rope if you let go of it.
Yeah.
You just can't. And God's joy is always there, but it is our job to grab onto it and to cling to it, even through the toughest times. So it was a lot of fun to bring Ruth through these 3 stories and to bring her to this point. And so far, the readers have really loved it. So,
so how can you not love Ruth, though? And Frank. Okay, so let's talk about Frank a little bit, because at the end of the book, you mentioned that there was really a chef. Frank was like a person, and you don't know how long he was there, but it's so cool that there's these real people in history that you're like, let's just bring this to life in my own way. So I love that he was like a real person.
Yes. And the story behind the villain.
Yes, because you mentioned that too. The story that this was a real person too. So I just love when you take those little real pieces of history and just then bring them to life in your own way.
Yep. So Fred Harvey, his first restaurant and saloon was with a partner, and they disagreed over slavery. Harvey was against slavery and his partner was for. And so his partner stole everything, took off, all the money, everything, took off, and nobody ever saw him again.
Wow.
And the fact that Harvey made himself who he was in the huge Fred Harvey empire, after this, it was one of those things I thought, oh, I could play around with this. So it sparked my villain in the story off of that, because it actually happened. I mean, how would we handle that? If our partner just steals everything.
And you have to start from scratch again. But he did it right, and it blossomed, and he's known today. We're talking about him today. So obviously Yeah. So that's cool. And then you just put this little twist on it with the villain.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And all the food you described, because Frank's a chef, and this food and that. But I'm like, I kind of want a piece of that. I want some of that. I want to eat your food. So make sure you have like popcorn or food with you, because you're gonna be hungry when you're in. Which is so fun that Frank's a chef and she head waitress, and there's other jobs that she does too. But I just love that behind the scenes of what it was like to have this huge, like you said, the crown jewel of the empire is at the Grand Canyon, and it's so fun to see that come to life. And again, this is the third book. So The Great Divide, is that what you said? The first book was A Deep Divide, and the second book,
A Gem of Truth.
I'm like, I know the name. And then this one is A Mark of Grace. And so that's a 3-book series so this book will kind of wrap up, and characters from the first ones will be in this book. So this wraps up the series. So I love that you're doing that. And the Grand Canyon, we were there, and we had 7 kids at the time under the age of 18, and it was the most nerve-wracking. And I'm like, why do we think this is a good idea coming to the Grand Canyon? So all those elements to danger of the canyon itself kind of weaves in with the book.
And as you have no idea how huge it is until you actually see. I mean, pictures and beautiful pictures nowadays, are gorgeous to look at. I have a bunch of the professional ones, hanging on my walls in here to inspire me. But when you get there, it's just, jaw dropping. It's like, wow, God did this. It's so cool. And then you get to the edge and you're like, oh, there's no guardrail. Oh, look how deep that is. Oh my.
Yeah, we were like holding all the children, and we're like, do not let go of my hand. And we had little ones that were like 5 and 6. It was just like,
even me, I am my mother's child, right? Yeah. So my parents had never seen the Grand Canyon. They're in their 80s, and I FaceTimed them a couple of places where we had a signal, and we were at the watchtower, on the east end. And so I'm FaceTiming. There's a bunch of people around, everything. And I'm up high at the watchtower, and they're looking down. And my mom's so funny. She goes, "Don't fall in." And she was so serious. And all the guys around us just laughed. And they're like, "I guess you're never too old to be a mom." And I was like, "It's true." She was worried about me, didn't want me to fall in.
Oh, I love that. Okay, another thing. Was it the McCord brothers that did the photography there? What were their names?
The Kolb brothers.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay. Were they true people, or?
They're real people, and their house is on the very rim. I mean, the very, very, very rim. The porch, like the rim of the canyon here, the porch goes out over it.
Oh my goodness.
It is still there, and it's the Kolb Studios, and it's preservationists have taken over it, and you can see their house, and you can also see their pictures and their films and everything they made. They were crazy and incredible. And then when I was doing research, something really funny, I couldn't put this in the books though, because it was later. I think it was, I don't remember what year now, but somebody went missing in like 1920 something. They found the skeleton of that person in the boathouse of one of the brothers later on. Now he was, not guilty of murder, but everybody wanted to know, why did he have the skeleton?
Oh my goodness.
What happened, so there's all these little things that intertwine with the canyon. The history though is phenomenal, and the Kolb brothers are a huge part of that. But there was this huge also rivalry and battle over the land and who had rights, paying a toll to be able to go down the path. And there's so much fun stuff with the canyon. But if you go, make sure you go all the way to Grand Canyon Village, because a lot of people have told me, I didn't even realize El Tovar was there.
No, we did not go even know it was there and go there, but we were probably at the rim like 10 minutes because it was so stressful with all the children. It was like, let's go to the gift shop, because it was like, it is huge, and I mean, a little kid climbing up could just it's deep and huge and overwhelming. And we were like, okay, we've seen the Grand Canyon, let's go to the gift shop. Everyone gets a t-shirt, make them happy.
Yeah, there's a lot of places to stop, along the way. But the road is the South Rim. It's huge. And this, the road is only this much out of the whole canyon. And it's 30 something miles. And Grand Canyon Village, and that's where the train still comes in. but there's a whole lot of stuff there in the village. So make sure you go there. If you go to the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
I always recommend for people to go to Hermit's Rest too, and that's far out. That the Kolb studio, the Kolb Brothers studio, is past the El Tavar.
Okay, so fun. And that's what I love, because I listened to it. I had the book, and then it got moved. I don't know, somewhere around here in my office move. It got it's up, but I listened to. I bought it on audio anyway because I just love it. And then I'm like, ooh, I can remember to ask her about this because I bet this is a piece of history. And ooh, I gotta ask her about this. And so I know you're not going to just like throw stuff in there. I mean, you know, I love that you base the real history on that. And I feel like I learned something and I'm excited about it. And then the story's good too. So that's always fun. Okay. So this 3-book series is awesome. They're all out. Some people say, I don't want to start reading them until all the books are out.
Right.
They're all out. You can safely go read them now. And then you mentioned more books. I would love to hear what else is coming out from you this year, because I know there's going to be some great stuff. And I think does the dinosaur books come out this year? Okay, tell us about all the things. I want to hear all the things.
Well, Mark of Grace was first one this year. It just released in January, and then in April is a suspense thriller. It's contemporary in Alaska. My Alaskan Cyber Hunters, I can say it, series. The first book is called 26 Below.
Okay.
Has a phenomenal cover. Oh my goodness, it's great. And then in May, I have the first book in a series with Tracy that takes place in Kalispell.
I'm like, wait, that's my town. Yeah, we lived there for 15 years. I cannot wait.
So Kalispell is the first book in that series. So we have 3 books set there, and we have 3 historic locations with a lot of fun, you know, that we're using in Kalispell, and that's the Heart's Choice. Did I say that? Yeah.
No, the Heart's Choice. Okay. And isn't the series like the Kalispell something? What's the name of the series? It has Kalispell.
It does. The Jewels of Kalispell?
The Jewels of something like that.
I think so.
I should know the audiobook. It mentioned it. I'm like, oh, wait, what's my place?
Yeah, that starts in May. And then I think it is September that my historical that starts the paleontology series. They have a lot of suspense in them, but they're historical romance. And the first one in that is The Secrets Beneath.
Ooh, good.
Which kind of hints at a little bit what's going on there. That one's way back in 1869, 1879. The series is going to cover paleontology up through 1915 when Dinosaur National Monument was established.
Is that in Montana or is that in Utah?
It's actually taking place in Wyoming, Utah, and Colorado.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
So my friend who lives in Montana is the granddaughter of Earl Douglas, who is the man who's the founder of Dinosaur National Monument. So they've allowed me to use his journals and his quotes throughout the series, which is so much fun.
Yeah.
And then the next book in the Alaskan Cyber Hunter series is 8 Down, and it was slated for November, but I got sick, so I'm not sure if it's still going to be November.
Okay.
Or not November, December.
Yeah.
That comes out, and then the rest of the books for all 3 of those series come out the following year.
Yeah. The good news is, because if you didn't have time to write all this down, you could go to Amazon or Goodreads and you could follow an author. And I know, like on Amazon, when I follow all the people, I get the emails that tell me when the books are releasing.
Yes.
And so then I'm like, okay, good. Pre-order the books. And like I mentioned, even if I have them on paperback, I usually always buy the Audible books because I'll get there reading and then like I need to go drive my car right now to take a kid's appointment. I want to listen to this book, and so I buy a lot of Audible books. And yeah, my kids are like, "What's this? What's this? I want to listen to this. Rewind it." I'm like, "You can listen after. I'm not going to rewind this."
Sometimes I even have them hard copy, Kindle.
I've done that, but the good news is, if you buy one, so if like you buy the Kindle, they'll have it cheaper for the auto. They do discount it, but it makes it so easy. Like you could get the audio version for $4.99, or you could get the Kindle version, and I'm like, it's so easy just to push that button.
And for those of us who have to read or listen in so many different ways of life, and I don't even know how you get anything done. You're amazing.
I love it. I love it. I love books. And I think this is an important thing too. And avid readers, we talk about this a lot. Like those of us who love books, I realized like for many years I had the kids and I was writing and I wasn't reading. And it's just like you kind of miss it and you miss that joy. And I realized like even though it takes time away to sit down and read a book, and I'll do it when I'm on my exercise bike or I'll listen in the car, like it feeds me. I love the stories and I'm just a better mom. So children, go away. I'm going to finish this book because I need to be a better mom because I need to get that. And I love fiction, and I love
Me
all
too.
types of fiction. And since you write all types of fiction, you just fill so many of those needs.
Yay!
Contemporary, suspense, historical. Yeah.
You were talking about villains earlier,
Yeah.
and I just have to laugh because you know Karen Ball, and she is my editor, and she's amazing. I love her.
I love Karen. Yeah.
She's taught me so much over the years. Oh my goodness. Well, she constantly teases me about my villains because I normally don't have edits on my villains.
Oh.
I always like to incorporate a villain because to me I don't know, it's just important. And so she's always teasing me about the villain. So the one in The Secrets Beneath in the first Dino book that's coming out in September, she called me, after she read it, she goes, "Oh my goodness."
That sounded just like her, actually.
And it was just great. It was very encouraging. But I always ask her, I was like, but what does that say about me? This innocent little Christian bubble, pastor's wife, pastor's kid, and yet my villains never have to have any editing.
And you're dead, and you're dead, and we're going to try to kill you too.
My husband always likes to tell people, he goes, "Yeah, my wife's good at killing people."
There you go.
Terrible.
What does it say about you?
Oh, goodness. I'm a nice person, I promise.
Yeah, you just write really good evil parts. So good. Okay, so again, the book, we're going to show you the cover. I'm going to show you the Audible cover, which is the same cover. It's the same cover. It's just little, and it's so beautiful. A Mark of Grace, and it's the third book in the series. Kimberley Woodhouse, check it out. The narration, she did a great job.
She does all three books too. She did really good.
Yeah, she did really good. So she has it. All the voices are very distinct, and so you know who's talking. And I always love that when they, you don't have to. It just you know who's talking. So she did a really good job, and so this is my first finished novel of the year.
Yay.
2007. Got it there. So I love it.
Thank
I love
you.
it. And I can't wait. There's lots more this year that we can talk about. Let's get you back on here. We'll talk about more books, which is so fun. Yeah. So Kimberley, for those who want to know more about you and all the books that will be coming out and all the books that are out, where can they go to go find more information and to connect with you and to send you a message to say, yeah, you do write good villains?
Well, on Facebook, it's just facebook.com/Kimberley Woodhouse author. I'm pretty easy to find. My website has everything though. And it's just KimberleyWoodhouse.com. I think even if you spell my name wrong, it'll still go there. I think if you put in just Kim Woodhouse, it goes there.
Yeah, because it has an E in there. I always know that there's an E before the Y. Yeah.
We bought all the domains, a long time ago so that people could all just, get to the place. And it has all the connections on there and also has contact forms, for me. So anybody can reach me through my website. And it also has all the books.
All the books there. And always also go to your library and tell them to order the books. That's always a huge benefit to the readers. And they will. Like people say, I can't afford books. I'm like, perfect. Go to your library, ask them to order it, which they love. They love when their patrons come in and tell them about authors and series and ordering books. So that's great for us, and that's great for the libraries, and then more people can hear about our books too. So make sure you do that. Well, thank you, Kim, for being here. I always love connecting with you. I'm so glad you're feeling better.
Thank
so
you.
that you can write more books.
You are awesome. I just appreciate you so much in my life, Trisha, and all that you have poured into me for a very long time now. It's been a long time.
But we're still 30, so it's not that long.
Right? Yeah, that's what it is.
All right. Thank you, friend.
Thanks.